Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving headfirst into a topic that's a bit more awkward family reunion and a bit less rousing military parade. That's right, folks, we're counting down the top 10 weakest armies in the world. Now, before you grab your tiny violin for these countries, let's be clear. A weak military doesn't necessarily mean a lack of heart or courage. It's more about facing an uphill battle against things like limited resources, internal conflicts, and frankly, sometimes just plain bad luck. So buckle up as we explore the often overlooked realities of these nations' defenses and maybe, just maybe, we'll learn a thing or two about the complex world beyond flashy tanks and fighter jets. Stay tuned. First up, we find ourselves in the heart of Africa, where the Central African Republic is bravely trying to hold it together. Now, holding it together is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. You see, the CAR is grappling with a truly unfortunate cocktail of challenges. We're talking chronic underfunding, a severe lack of training, and equipment that's probably older than your grandparents combined. Imagine trying to defend a country with rusty rifles and a hope. That's the reality for the CAR's armed forces. It's less of a fighting force and more of a poignant reminder of the deep inequalities that plague our world. But hey, at least they've got spirit, right? Well, spirit only gets you so far when you're facing well-armed rebel groups who, frankly, have a much better shopping list when it comes to military hardware. It's a tough situation, and one that highlights the brutal reality that sometimes, just existing is the biggest battle of all. Next, we set sail for the Horn of Africa, a region known for its strategic importance and, unfortunately, its fair share of turmoil. And when it comes to turmoil, Somalia is practically the poster child. This nation has been locked in a brutal cycle of conflict for decades, plagued by internal power struggles, extremist groups, and a government that's more like a rotating door of instability. In this chaotic environment, the Somali National Army is basically trying to assemble a Lego set while riding a roller coaster blindfolded. It's not going well. They're hampered by a lack of resources, inconsistent training, and the ever-present threat of being caught in the crossfire of yet another internal power struggle. It's like trying to teach a goldfish to do parkour while its bowl is being shaken vigorously. It's a mess, folks. And sadly, one that doesn't seem to have an easy solution anytime soon. Our next stop takes us to Sierra Leone, a nation still haunted by the ghosts of a brutal civil war. And while the guns have thankfully fallen silent, the scars of that conflict run deep, especially when it comes to the country's armed forces. Sierra Leone's military is, to put it delicately, operating on a shoestring budget. We're talking about a defense budget that's probably less than what some countries spend on office supplies. This means outdated equipment, limited training opportunities, and a chronic shortage of even the most basic necessities. Imagine trying to maintain a sense of military might when you're worried about whether or not you'll have boots to wear to the fight. It's a tough ask. However, amidst these challenges there are glimmers of hope. International partners are lending a hand with training and support, and the government is slowly but surely trying to rebuild its armed forces. It's a long and arduous journey, but hey, at least they're moving in the right direction. And in a region as fragile as West Africa, every step towards stability counts. Our next destination is Liberia, a nation that, much like its West African neighbor Sierra Leone, is still picking up the pieces after a devastating civil war. Now, Liberia's army is, to put it gently, more like a small but dedicated marching band than a formidable fighting force. With limited manpower and even more limited resources, they're kind of like that one friend who always brings a knife to a gunfight. They're outmatched, outgunned, and frankly out of luck when it comes to modern military technology. We're talking about a level of outdated that would make a museum curator blush. But hey, at least they're trying, right? And in a region where instability often spills across borders like a poorly poured pint, every little bit of effort counts. Still, it's a stark reminder that sometimes the biggest battles are fought not on the battlefield, but in the halls of government and in the struggle to rebuild a nation torn apart by conflict. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to delve into the turbulent world of Guinea-Bissau, a nation that's practically synonymous with political instability. Seriously, this country has more coups than a Parisian bakery, and that's saying something. And as you can imagine, when your government changes more often than your socks, it's a tad difficult to build a strong, cohesive military. Guinea-Bissau's armed forces are, to put it politely, more accustomed to intervening in political squabbles than, actually defending the nation from external threats. They're chronically underfunded, poorly equipped, and let's just say that military strategy probably involves a lot of improvisation and hoping for the best. It's a bit like watching a game of musical chairs where everyone's fighting over the same wobbly stool, except in this case, the stool is control of the country, and the music is the constant threat of another coup. It's a mess, folks, a real head-scratcher of a situation, and sadly, one that doesn't seem to have an easy solution anytime soon. Our next stop takes us to the Horn of Africa, where we encounter Eritrea, a nation that's basically the embodiment of the phrase military service, not just a suggestion, it's a way of life. And when I say way of life, I mean it. Eritrea has this delightful policy of indefinite conscription. That's right, folks, you can be called upon to serve in the military pretty much indefinitely. It's like a surprise birthday party you can never leave. Now you might think that having a massive standing army would make Eritrea a regional powerhouse. But you'd be wrong. You see, quantity doesn't exactly equal quality. While Eritrea's army is certainly large, it's also hampered by outdated equipment, poor training, and let's just say, morale isn't exactly sky high when you're essentially trapped in military service with no end in sight. It's a situation that raises serious human rights concerns and highlights the fact that sometimes a large army is more of a liability than an asset. Next, we find ourselves in Haiti, a nation grappling with a truly heartbreaking combination of political instability and natural disasters. Seriously, it's like Mother Nature decided to play a particularly cruel game of whack-a-mole, and Haiti just can't seem to catch a break. Now, Haiti's army is, to put it gently, more like a first aid tent in a hurricane than a formidable fighting force. They're chronically under-resourced, lacking in basic equipment, and often called upon to do more with less than seems humanly possible. Imagine trying to rebuild your house while simultaneously putting out a fire and comforting your terrified family. That's the reality for Haiti's armed forces, who are constantly being stretched thin by both man-made and natural disasters. It's a testament to their resilience and dedication, but it's also a stark reminder that sometimes the bravest battles are fought not with guns and tanks, but with shovels, sandbags, and an unwavering spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. Our journey takes us next to Gambia, a nation that's basically a sliver of land nestled within Senegal. Seriously, look at a map. It's like Senegal decided to wear Gambia as a particularly stylish scarf. Now, Gambia's army is, to put it mildly, more like a neighborhood watch group than a formidable military force. They're small in number, lacking in modern equipment, and let's just say their budget is probably less than what some countries spend on commemorative stamps. But hey, at least they're enthusiastic, right? And in a region where even a small military presence can make a difference, it's important to acknowledge their efforts. Still, it's a reminder that size does matter, especially when it comes to military might. It's like trying to win a staring contest with a chihuahua. You might admire their tenacity, but you're not exactly quaking in your boots. Our penultimate stop takes us to the breathtaking Himalayas, where we encounter Bhutan, a nation that's basically a real-life Shangri-La. Now, Bhutan's army is, to put it gently, more like a really well-armed meditation retreat than a traditional military force. You see, Bhutan has this whole gross national happiness thing going on, where peace and well-being are prioritized over, military might. Don't get me wrong, they have an army, and they take their defense seriously, but their military spending is minimal, and their focus is more on protecting their environment and cultural heritage than on projecting military power. It's a refreshing change of pace from the usual saber rattling, and it makes you wonder if maybe, just maybe, the world would be a better place if we all focused a little more on inner peace and a little less on stockpiling weapons. Just a thought. Our final stop takes us to South America, where we encounter Suriname, a nation that's more famous for its lush rainforests than its military prowess. Suriname's army is, to put it diplomatically, more like a group of park rangers who occasionally dabble in military exercises. They're small, under-equipped, and let's just say they're probably more focused on fighting off mosquitoes in the rainforest than repelling foreign invaders. Now, to be fair, Suriname hasn't exactly been high on anyone's invasion list lately, which is probably a good thing because their military might is more might need a coffee break than might want to mess with us. Still, it's a reminder that not every country needs to be a military powerhouse to exist peacefully in the world. Sometimes all you need is a good mosquito net and a whole lot of rainforest to keep the outside world at bay. Well folks, there you have it, a whirlwind tour of the world's most militarily challenged nations. We've journeyed from the heart of Africa to the heights of the Himalayas, and along the way, we've encountered armies grappling with everything from poverty and instability to a distinct lack of modern weaponry. But amidst all the challenges, I think it's important to remember that a nation's military strength doesn't tell the whole story. These countries may not have the most powerful armies, but they're home to resilient people, rich cultures, and a whole lot of potential. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. See you next time.